Good morning. We're going to do a new format today, and we're trying to reach the masses. And for the last 3 weeks, we've been dealing with the spirit of religion and how we're anti-religion, even though we are a church. And for those who are watching for the first time, it is people who say one thing during the week, and on Sunday they do something else when they attend to church. So if you're a Christian on Sunday, you're supposed to act like a Christian on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. If not, you're just a religious person. So that's just to summarize it quickly. Today we're going to be trying to deal with the issues of family. And it's a broad issue. We're going to try to cover as much as we can, as quickly as we can. We're going to deal with home ownership, deal with having children, being a husband and being a wife. And now we have some information that is going to be useful for some. And before we begin, I'll have my wife, Jenniffer Whyte, do the introduction of our panel.
Yes, good morning. We have a special guest with us today. We have Marquita Mansfield. She's a master's degree in counseling, and she works for the Alabama Deaf and Blind Institute, also has worked for the United Cerebral Palsy Center as a counselor to the special needs parents and their children. And we're so happy to have her here today, and she's gonna just enlighten us with her wisdom and her studies and her experience. So thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
And we also have the rest of our panel, our church members. You're going to probably hear them in the background asking questions or giving comments. My wife is also going to be on the panel. She has studied early childhood education. Matter of fact, she was on the dean's list and the president list for straight A's in her years at college. So we're going to use her as her expertise on the panel today. And we're going to start first with issues of family. Now, I don't know if you know this, that the ratio of marriage has gone down dramatically. Only 34.8% of people right now are marrying. The rest are living together. And it's changed because now the church people are also living out of wedlock. The biggest reason for divorce in the church is people living a life of adultery. And if you don't know what that means, that they're sleeping around. So we're going to start first with marriage. Now, the hard part about marriage is that most people are not raised for marriage. You're raised for a career. You're raised for buying things. But parents no longer raise their kids. Their daughters are not made to be wives, and their sons are not made to be husbands. So when people grow up, they still have that selfish attitude. I want, mine. If you ever watch Little Nemo, we're like the seagulls watching when something comes out of the water. Mine. So Marquita has been married for 5 years, and she's a very intellectual person, and she's easy to deal with in the sense that you can speak to her and you don't really know she's listening. And you'll find out a day or two later what you said really struck me so much, and I've changed this and I've changed the other. And and I've come to understand that there are people that you can educate by just talking. There are people that you cannot educate no matter which form you use. So I've watched how she's dealt with her marriage. And to be married takes work. It is not an easy thing, but marriage is an awesome thing when you get it right. So I want to first start asking questions about marriage. Now, I'm not going to probe in stuff that is not feasible for us to talk about. But I want to deal first with the issue of what kind of things you have to do in your family to keep it structured, to keep your child happy and to keep your husband happy. What are the little things? Because according to the Bible, there's the little foxes that ruins the vine. So I want to know the little things that you do to make the family work.
Well, this it's little, but it's big in so many words. Communication, being on the same page. When it comes to me, my husband and I raising our son, it's like a team. It's a teamwork. We come together, we talk about issues that Skylar may be going through, and we just lay them all out on the table. And we just go from there. We make sure we may not agree all the time. We do agree to disagree sometimes, but that common denominator is making sure we're on the same page when it comes to raising our son.
Okay, that's a really broad communication. It's bigger than most of us think.
Right.
The biggest form of communication is not the talking, and most of us think is I opened my mouth and I said something. The biggest form of communication is actually your body, and I have to watch that when I'm preaching. I watch body language a lot, and normally when someone is saying something and at the same time they're shaking their head no, they're usually lying. So that's a hint for y'all when you're talking to somebody. It's that the body is saying something different than the mouth is saying. So are you conscious of how your body speaks when you're talking to your husband?
I think I am, and he takes heed to my body language very well. You know, if I'm all like this, he's probably like, oh, well, she's listening to me, but she's really not listening to me. If I'm engaged and leaning in, he's like, okay, well, maybe, you know, what I'm saying, it is coming across in some ways where we can put into play. But he picks up on that very well, and I do the same with him. You know, if he's kind of standoffish or, you know, not leaning in as much, I'm like, okay, well, maybe we need to work at it another angle. So, yeah, we do pick up on each other's body cues or body language.
Okay. Now, see, I know how my wife does it, but I'm going to have her answer the same question so everybody else knows the little things and what it's not big to everybody else, but what is it's important for you to keep the family working.
Well, I think that knowing the love languages of the husband and knowing the love languages of the children is really important. I've noticed that when I found out that you were service, then and on my affirmation, me telling you all the time that thank you and you did such a good job doesn't always work. That you want reaction, you want something that you can see, you want dishes done and the house cleaned and things like that. So we're totally different people. So when I found out the love language, is like, okay, now I have at least a map of how to handle the children and the husband.
Okay. Well, if you notice, it's very intellectual. We're talking very intellectual right now. And sometimes when you are speaking intellectually, we kind of lose something in between. It's almost as if you're translating from another language. It's different in actions than it is in words. Now, my wife and I, we've been married for 16 years, and we have gone through lots of ups and lots of downs, and we've swung from left to right, and how we deal with the issues are very different. But I find that in marriage, you have to have a balance. You have to have people that have certain roles. The wife does not have the same role as the husband, and the husband does not have the same role as the wife. And let me give you an example. In Hispanic culture, the woman takes care of everything in the house, including paying all the bills. And the husband will work and hand the whole entire check to the woman. And the woman, that's her job, take care of everything in the house. Now, in my wife's family, her dad took care of all the finances. And when I got married, I gave my wife my whole check. And I found out my wife doesn't know how to do that. That was not her area. So I had to pull that area and said, okay, I'll take it to be mine. Now, when we get around Hispanic people, we still act like if she does it because it's not the norm. But there are certain things in family that one mate is good at and the other one is really raunchy. And some people just want to force the mate to do it anyway. It's me giving my wife the money and it's like, why aren't you getting the bills paid? And why aren't you, if it's not in her, then it's not anything that we can do. So in our family, I am the primary disciplinarian. My wife does discipline, but there has to be a primary. Now, for those of you that are married, if you haven't figured this out, there has to be one that's tougher than the other. There has to be someone that puts fear into your kid's life. So I want to deal with the issue of what in your family is your normal role. What things you take on yourself, like my husband has to take out the trash. That's not my job. I have to change the diapers, let's deal with the normal things, and then we're going to get also on the issue of discipline and who is the primary disciplinarian and why is it set that way. So if we can start with you, Marquita.
Okay, well, I would say my husband, he's the primary disciplinarian. Basically, I just act as, well, he acts as a follow-up, because my husband, he's a coach, so he's not around all the time. So when he comes home, I tell him, what Skylar may have done, and he follows up on it, and he acts a plan out that way. But with Skylar, he's a mess. y'all have met him. And he can be rambunctious. I mean, he's all of the above, but I love him dearly, don't get me wrong. But you have to be very firm with him. And I feel that I am firm with him, but even though I'm firm with him, my husband, he's even more firm with him. With me, for instance, if I'm sending him to timeout, and I'm still working on this, well, in the past, it was bad. I would send him to timeout, and I feel bad, like, oh, well, come on, no, it's okay. But I've overcome that because I realize it's only hurting him in the long run. So if he does something, there's a consequence to it, and there's no loopholes. You're gonna act out your sentence, I like to call it, and then then you're free to go, to move on. So if he does something, I may have to spank him, or I may have to send him to timeout. And there's no mushy. Oh, come here, I'm so sorry. I mean, no. I mean, you've done this action, and you're gonna, do the consequence to it. And when my husband comes in, I just reiterate the story, what he's done, and my husband, he'll follow up on it if needs to be.
Okay, so how do you do it?
Well, I'm not the primary disciplinarian, but discipline is in my family. I mean, my mom wasn't the primary, but she was very harsh and she was very strict. So I kind of took on that, and I took on her gift of disciplining children. And I've learned that discipline is love, is the best love. And that's what I've learned. But as far as day-to-day things, I get the kids up in the morning and I give them a bath and I make sure that, they're ready, they're on the bus. Everything has to do with their schoolwork and everything. I'm in charge of that. My husband really, he's in charge of the yard. The yard is not something I'm like trying to worry about, or the cars. If I run out of gas, he's gonna have to fill the tank. I don't do those things, It's like there's certain things that I just don't worry about. But then I have things that, okay, homework has to be done. If the kids are getting bad grades, it's me because I'm the one trying to help them. Now we homeschool, so he takes on the role of homeschooling the older children. But I go ahead and take on the role of the younger children, getting them ready for school and making sure that they have everything they need. And if I don't have the money to provide what they need, then that's where it goes to his department. I send it to him, right. And he, writes out the check. Or
No, she used an interesting word. She said department, which is a great word for usage. But if you heard what she said, she's the primary caregiver, but I'm the primary disciplinarian. They're not the same roles. There are certain things that she has to do that are not my role. That in our family, this is structured. This is your area. You handle this. Then there's certain parts that is my area. If my wife ever got on the side of the road because she ran out of gas, is my fault. I'm not driving her car, so it's not like, okay, I knew you were on empty. I didn't know. So what we have already learned our format. So she'll come home and, honey, my car is on empty. And I'll go to the car and drive it to the gas station and put gas in it and drive it back and park it there. And in the morning she has gas in the car. Now, this works for us, but it's not that we have to do the whole task by ourselves. Now, when you're married, you have it easier. It should not be harder to raise a child when there's two people doing it. That's it. If you have a question, you can go ahead and just ask your question. And
I have a question about, you said, how did you guys decide on who picks up what department? Did it just fall naturally, automatically, or was it a mutual thing to where, you know your area and you know what you can handle and everybody just pretty much picks up what?
That's a good question. That's an excellent question. How we did it was by accident. We didn't start our marriage and saying you're going to do this and this and this. We hit and miss. And there were arguments in between there. So I don't want you to think, okay, I got married, everything which is fine and dandy, and it all came together. No, it was a lot of fussing, a lot of fighting. And if you get married, you're supposed to have arguments. So all this mushy and stuff, that's just in the movies. You're supposed to. If you have siblings and you see siblings fighting, that is normal. It's not unusual. So married people do the same thing. And it ended up being, well, why didn't you handle this? Well, I didn't know I had no. Well, okay, now it's going to be my job from now on. And you'll have sometimes that it's not balanced. Now, in marriage, you have to have balance. So I'm not saying two different things. I'm saying as far as the roles are not balanced. You may have a wife that's a lot more mature than the husband. So because the wife is a lot more mature than the husband, she's going to take on more responsibilities on herself to make the family work. Do you follow? So you can't say, well, this is unfair. I got more on me than he does. Well, who is the more mature one? And it's even a spiritual principle. The Bible does teach us that we who are more mature are supposed to encourage those who are not. Not sit there, you idiot, you're not supposed to do that. So everyone in their marriage, my wife and I do not have equal roles. It doesn't. There's times that she's carrying more than I am. There's times that I'm carrying more than she is. And I cannot go to her and say, well, I'm so tired, you don't hardly do anything, I'm always doing it. We can't do that because that is not, we were not raised together. We were raised in different families. So when you have families that are working together and you see the wife running here and there, if you look at the husband and the husband's not doing anything, don't critique it if it's working. You leave it alone if it's working. Now, if it's not working and you're like Marquita and you got a job as a counselor, then hey, by all means intervene. If not, pray. So in your case, you have a full plate. You got 2 kids, you got a husband, and you work as a nurse, and now you have a boutique. Well, guess what? You got more on you. But look at what your husband's talent is. If it's not his talent, don't you put it on him. Because all he's going to do is make you mad. That's it. You're not going to be able to sleep at night. You're going to be all frustrated. He's not doing it. He's not doing it. Then you do it. In life, you do what you have to do to make it easier. So if you're an athlete and you can run 20 miles with no problem, and you're married to someone who can't run a mile, you run your 20 miles and let him keep running his mile. So everything will come together in marriage with first communication. Whether it's screaming, whether it's writing it down, whether it's really quiet, sit down, we need to talk. Whichever way you do it best, you got to communicate it. But in a lot of marriages today, they become failures because there isn't a communication. It does a volcano. I can't take this. We are not compatible. So great answer. Your marriage, you'll work at it. And I know you'll work at it. The things that your husband does not do, just put in the back of your head, this is not his calling. This is not what he was put in my life for. If not, you're going to get old fast. Bitterness goes to the bones. So we have already structured as who is the lead disciplinarian. There has to be a lead. There has to be a communication that goes on in the family. It has to be, it normally is the male. Normally. Sometimes the male didn't get that in his house, so he doesn't have that gift. So you take on the disciplinarian role. Like I know Annie. Annie, I can tell you, she is the disciplinarian in her house. So we're supposed to be the man. No, not in her house. In her house, it's okay for her to be the primary disciplinarian. So how does the other person supposed to act? And Marquita kind of answered that. They're the ones that are more involved in lovey-dovey, touchy here and touchy there, kiss, and but you still have to have a certain firmness. You cannot just be lovey-dovey all the time. If you want to stop and think about it this way, the Bible says, spare the rod, you spoil the child. Understand that every child that is spoiled will get a whooping sometime in his life. I'd rather them get a whooping from me because I love them, I have mercy on him, and I have grace. I'm not going to try to kill my child when I'm whooping them. But when the policeman who has been trained to whoop somebody grab a hold of them, they're not going to be thinking mercy and grace. They're going to beat them down until they're in the ground. And others will join in and help them detain it. So I want you to stop and think about that for a moment. If you are not disciplining your child, somebody will.
Right.
So you have to discipline your child. Now, I know the ages, and if you, we're going to now discuss the ages of what is expected. Now, I've watched people have too much expectations of kids at the wrong time. So you have to follow the list. Follow. Boy, that was really, really country, wasn't it? Follow the list. All right. There are certain ages that certain things are appropriate. There are certain ages that things are not appropriate. In my house, I have from 4-year-old to 14-year-old. So we have a 10-year gap. There are responsibilities that my 14-year-old has that my 4-year-old does not. Now, my 14-year-old will complain, well, I have to do more than Lizzie. And the answer is, you're 14, she's 6. So when you're giving your children choices, I want you to go ahead and tell me now, Skylar is 4?
Yes.
4. All right, what are the proper, we're going to go from 4 on down. What are the proper choices? Let's say if you're going to ask him what he wants to wear. We're going to deal with something simple, it's what he wants to wear. Tell me how you would deal with that while he's 4, how you would deal with it when he's 3, 2, and 1, and of course 0.
Okay, with him being 4 now, he's at the age where he is making like simple choices, and it ranges from anywhere from him picking out what color shoes he wants to wear or what color shirt he wants to wear. So in the morning time, what I do, I like lay out different choices, and I let him, choose which one he wants to choose. But as far as 4 and under, I'm more of the prompter. I was more of the prompter. Okay, look, you want to wear this? It has fish. Has fish on. You want to wear this? It has a cool smiley face on it. But he's at up age where he can make simple choices. Ooh, I want to wear this because it has an alligator on it. That type of thing.
But you still gave him boundaries for choices,
right,
so.
Right.
You didn't go to the closet and say, pick out what you want to wear out of that and put that on.
Right.
So you picked it out first.
Right.
Now, what was your reasoning for picking out what you picked out?
Because in Sky's closet, he has beach wear, he has church wear, and knowing Sky, we probably picked something to wear in church, which is really not appropriate to wear, to school. So that's why I kind of picked out several choices of what's appropriate to wear at school. So I would choose have 4 or 5 options for him to choose from, and he's pretty firm as far as what he's going to wear. But if I were to open up his entire closet, hey, pick what you want to wear, he'll pick the rain boots and some church attire.
Okay. He'll pick out what a normal 4-year-old will pick out to wear. Now you do understand that while in parenting you can give your child choices, but your choices are very limited. Right. If it's wintertime, you're gonna pick out winter clothes and which will you want to wear for here. Now, let's say you want to go eat at Old Charlie's. Mm-hmm. What choices do you give your child when you want to go eat at Old Charlie's?
Well, we choose from the child's menu because Skylar,
That's not what I mean.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean that you want to go to Old Charlie's.
Uh-huh.
Your husband wants to go to Old Charlie's.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to go to Old Charlie's or McDonald's?
No.
Okay, so you make the choice already. We're going to go to Old Charlie's, and at Old Charlie's, you pick out what he wants to eat from the kids' menu.
Right.
All right, now, again, everything has to be structured. When you have a family, and a lot of people have no clue. They want to get married, they want to have kids, but no one has sat down and said, listen, this is not easy. What you want is not easy. Now, so I'm going to throw some numbers out at you, and hopefully this will kind of click some things. In marriage, and I wrote it down, in Addison, Alabama, you have 16,424 single men. It's a lot of men, isn't it? So for those ladies who are looking for a husband, hey, there's a great pool of men. So we think, all right, 16,000. Single women, you have 21,213. There goes your pool. It's gone. You got a lot more single women than you have single men. There is 77 single men per 100 single women right here where we live. So marriage is something to where it's like, man, I found a man. I need to keep the man I got because I may not be able to find another man. Now, I've always preached love the one you're with. So I don't preach, hey, go up there, play the field. No, that's not scriptural. So when you got married, first thing is you found someone that wanted to marry you. That is a big deal. There are women right now who are very qualified, very educated, have their own house, their own car, their own money in the bank, and can't find a husband. I'm sure you know some.
I do.
So finding a man, you're supposed to be able to already, okay, I got one. Let me take care of the one I have. So we're going to keep that in mind. So the first thing is, you got married. You're more blessed than a lot of other women. There are women right now, and I kid you not, that would take your husband in a hot second. I mean in a hot second, and treat him good. So if your husband is a little jerk, take care of the jerk you got, and he'll become a better man. I'm not kidding you. I mean, you want someone to do good, you start treating them really, really good. So we can see Marquita is a very good-looking woman. She has a very handsome man. But I watch how she deals with her handsome man. She keeps in mind that her handsome man is handsome. I've watched her. She don't let her husband just get around good-looking women. She keeps an eye on him. You know, she dresses up so he can stay being interested in her. She does the Zumba to stay fit. She's not trying to attract somebody else. She's trying to keep the one she got. So we want to deal with that issue. Okay. You know, what is your mindset when you get up in the morning and you know your husband has to go coach, especially when he has to go out of town? You know, what are you doing in your marriage to keep the man you have?
First of all, I'm keeping my house together. I make sure everything's clean, taken care of, making sure our son is, clean and taken care of. If he's going on a trip, hey, let me pack your clothes for you. Let me iron and make sure you have everything good to go. I'm telling him I love him. I'm blessed to have you as a husband. Just, those reassuring comments that I feel not only is important for me to hear, but for him to hear as well.
Do you sometimes feel like you're doing more in that area than he's doing?
Not really. I don't think.
Oh well, you're really blessed then, because usually it end up in women that women are doing a lot more to keep their family in order than the man is doing. And normally, if the man is like me, that I'm an action person. I'm not a wordy person, even though I do speak a lot. And my wife needs to have those verbal cues. You're pretty. And usually when we have time together, it's limited, so it's kind of like nitpicky. Right. Okay, you got to work on this and this and this and this and this. And then she's a word person, so what'll be just surface for me is deep for her. So I have to keep that in mind. If I say a comment, it's like, okay, went way down deep down here. So marriage takes both people. Now I'm kind of picking on the ladies right now. Don't feel like I'm just one-sided. Is I just gave you the numbers. All right. So with the numbers, you got to keep that in mind. The numbers speak big, because I tell you, if you notice, I don't wear a wedding ring. Anyone ever notice I don't wear a wedding ring? No, but thank God you never noticed. Now, there is a reason why I don't wear a wedding ring. I did for a really long time. And I found out that you get hit on more when you're married than when you're single.
I see that. I agree.
And I mean, over and over, I'll go to the grocery store and, oh, you so fine. And I'm married. Yeah, I know. That means you can take care of somebody. So when I was single, I had to hit on everybody. When I got married, I didn't have to hit on anybody at all. Everybody's hitting on me, so I took off my ring so I can be single. When I go out the house, I'm single. Hey, I can't handle responsibility. Don't mess with me. So, and I want you to keep that in mind. When you are married, someone else is looking at your husband like, okay, he's taking really good care of his wife, so he can take care of a woman. It sounds kind of backward, but that's how it really is. So the married men are getting hit on the most. There's two reasons why. First reason is you have people who don't want to get married. When you look at these numbers, you got men that are single, and 50% of those men do not want to get married. Ever. Kind of took away your numbers, didn't it? It's like, yeah, they'll live with you, but they don't want to get married. So we got to deal with the one that you're with. So, ladies, work on if you're married. Even if you married a joker, I mean, if he's not worth anything, you work on him anyway. When I was married, and I would blame my wife for everything, and I married my wife when she was a teenager. She was 18 years old when I married her. She didn't have a lot of life experience. We had our firstborn when she was 20, so if you did the math, it was longer than 9 months. And we had to work really, really hard. I was a lot more mature than she was. And you need to fix this, and you need to fix that, and you need to fix the other, and she was overwhelmed with how much stuff she has to do. And up to now, it's still like, you worked on that, you worked on that, and the list is still kind of long. But now she's at the point where she's putting things on my list. Well, I got that, now you got that. Okay, you started on the list on me now. So I have stuff that I got to fix too. But this is how I changed. I prayed and I asked God to change my wife. That's what I did. And God spoke. I mean, the heaven just opened and God hit me like a lightning bolt. A lightning strike. And it's, you need to change. God, how do you mean I need to change? My wife, it needs to grow up in these areas. No, it's you. Wait, did you see? Aren't you not seeing what I see? No, it's you. Said, I have to change? Yeah, you need to change. But she's the one that has all the problems. No, you need to change. And let me tell you, I began to change. And I started working on me. And lo and behold, it wasn't automatic. It didn't happen in a week. It didn't happen in a month. It didn't happen in 3 months. It took probably a year or two. My wife started to change. And everything that I wanted from my wife, she started to become that. But it started with me changing. So in marriage, you find things that you don't like about your mate, stop beating them across the head with it. You start to change. Every time I come home, the house is dirty. And start cleaning the house. And have a good attitude about it. A good attitude goes a long way. Well, I cleaned the house. You were gone all day and you can never count on you doing anything. So I just cleaned it myself. Bad attitude. Wrong attitude. Just clean it and do it unto the Lord. So we're going to go through home ownership. And I don't know how long we've been speaking. So in the United States, we have 67.4% of people own houses. Now, that figure is a wrong figure, and I'll explain why. That's counting all the houses that are built that have been sold. But you well know that people who live in houses don't always own those houses. Some of them rent out the houses. Some of them that belongs to their dad or their aunt or their grandma. So that the actual home ownership is 50% in the United States. You have half of the population of the United States own houses. The other half does not. Now, in my family, I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters that are full blood siblings. Counting me, we have 3 in our family that own houses. So it's a small amount of people who own houses. If you own a house, you are in that blessed 50%. So you need to walk around like you are part of that blessed 50%. Now, change comes with your attitude. Sometimes when you are down in the doghouse, you need to stop and look what you got. I know it's a physical thing, but physical things do change your attitude. Go outside and say, I am more blessed than 50% of the people in the United States because I own a house. I mean, it could be a little shack somewhere, but you are further on than 50%. So I know you guys own your house. Mm-hmm. And I already heard your husband saying his I want to fix list. And then I kind of also heard you hint that he's not the fixable type of person. So so I want to deal with the joy of ownership, home ownership. We own our house, and we were so blessed to get it. I was making $7 an hour when I qualified to buy my house. Before I qualified, the man asked me, since I came from Miami, if I sold drugs so I can assist my paying the bills of my house. And he says that's because it requires money to buy a house, and I was making $7 an hour. So when we got the house, we knew it was a miracle from God. we got our acreage and we had fruit trees in the yard, and we got 12 years of pictures to show, when we first got our house. And we still have a joy in it, but we're in the middle of building, and sometimes we can lose that joy really quick because it doesn't look like how we want it. The exterior is not like how we want it. The interior is not like how we want it. So tell me the things that you do in your house to kind of remind you that you're blessed to even have this.
Well, our house is actually on the market right now, but and we have come to the realization that, you know what, we have a house, we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom house, has a nice deck and all those type things, and we've really come to the realization that, we don't need bigger. I mean, we're content where we are right now, so whenever our contract expires as far as the realtor selling our house, we're just thinking about not selling it at all and actually building onto it. And it needs some things that needs to be done to it, but as far as I do little things to the house that just makes me feel, good about it. Like spring is coming up. I'm in the process of planting flowers, just beautifying the house, just enhancing, what's already there. So I can even go and buy like some air freshener or something, and I just can smell it. You know what? This is home. I like this house. We don't need to go anywhere. So it's just little things I can do like that that'll make me feel, okay, we don't need to go anywhere. We're content. We have a nice house.
Okay. There's a scripture in the Bible, and I believe it's in Corinthians, where it says, "Godliness with contentment is great gain." You can get a house, and the American way of doing things is let's just get rid of the one we have and get a new floor plan, and then we are continually going over and we get ourselves into more debt because we lost on our first house because the economy went down and it's now worth less than what we bought it, and we're gonna now tack that on to a new house, and we get more and more and more and more in debt. Now, if you are way down in debt, there's no way you can find joy in between there. It's just such a heavy load, especially when you have people start to call you and harass you, and we're going to put this on your credit and this and the other and that, and it's been from bad choices. So if you got a house, and I know we have one of our members, one time she got a little upset and she said, "That's not even the house that I wanted." And in the inside, my heart dropped, because I'm like, okay, in the United States it's 50%, but I want you to hear this number. It's only 3% in the world. To own a house, you're part of the elite 3% in the whole entire world. So it's very different when you know this, and you're like, okay, you got a house, and you know how many people will kill, and I mean literally, pick up a gun, a knife, an axe, a machete, and hey, let me take it from you. And it's a great privilege to have. Sometimes we lose our joy because we're not thankful for the things we got. So, Jenniffer, the same thing. What things do you do at your house to kind of feel, proud of your own home ownership?
Well, like you said, the house is under construction right now. So sometimes I look at it and I'm like frustrated. I'm like, well, I can't invite all my friends over and have a party, but then I have to. I do feel pride in my house. I love the fruit trees. I love how we can go pick out fruit and vegetables and bring it in the house, and I had to really be content in where I'm at. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm still gonna have parties. I'm still gonna have bringing people in the house. Makes me feel like this is my house. If it's not my house, I can't bring people in the house. So if I stop bringing people in the house, stop inviting people, that's when I said I'm not proud of this house. Even though it looks the way it does, I'm not proud of the way it looks. I still love it enough that, okay, Marquita, you come over, and let's watch a movie, and so you can enjoy with me the stuff that I have. Right. And cleaning the house it's always been really hard, and now with 5 kids it's like, oh gosh, cleaning closets has become like a regular chore because it gets messed up, but I still have that inside. Like, I'm proud of it because I come from a family where in the Dominican Republic we do have a house, but it has no running water. So, and I don't want to start crying because I grew up in there.
Well, I've been to that house, and they do have plumbing as far as you can flush the toilet, but they collect the rainwater, and that's their water source. And you got to grab the bucket from the big old trough from the rainwater and pour it into the toilet, and that's how you flush it. And her family home, they're very blessed in their country because they have one home in the whole family. Do you hear me? Everybody goes to grandma and granddad's house because they're the only ones that own a house. And when they look at pictures that we got 1 car and 2 car and 3 car, let's not even talk about the boat, just a car. Niece, you got a car? Yeah, I have a car. I'm 50 years old and I've never owned a car. You know, and we know that we're very blessed. So now I'm going to get a little picky. I'm going to tell you some numbers. The numbers should make you mad because the numbers made me mad. In home ownership in the United States, the ones who own the most house are Caucasians, and they own 74.80% of the houses. You starting to get a little mad? Anybody? There's a mindset when it comes to owning houses. You have, like in African American culture, we're going to get our cars hooked up. You know, we're going to have the rims, and we're going to have the nice $2,000 each tire. Said, but in the United States, you're still considered poor if you don't own a house. So I want to change that. My goal is to change the mindset of the minority, because I am one. If Caucasians can buy a house, you can buy a house too. There's a different mentality when you own a house and when you rent. First thing is, you have to learn to be responsible. When you own your own house, you have to be responsible. That's why some people just rent all their life. I don't want to deal with the yard. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with the other one. But there's certain benefits of owning your own that you don't get while renting. Here's the first benefit. When you rent, after your lease expires, you don't get nothing out of it. That's it. You paid for someone else to get rich. You can't write it off on your taxes. You can't do any of that. That money came and went. But when you buy your own, you got equity. You know, it's once you pay it off, hey, it's like having money in the bank. So we need to be able to start changing certain ways that we think. I have preached, and I thank God that the people that have been with me for a long time, I said, you know, God told me that everyone in our church is going to have a house. And everyone that stayed with us bought a house. And that was the number. Everyone. They all bought a house. And they got houses that were miracles to get. You know, to where it's like, bid for that. Can't bid for that. They told me I can't. And they bid, and they got it for what they bid for. And we know it was a miracle from God. I remember with Annie and Justin. They said, we just tried to buy a house 3 months ago, and we didn't qualify. And Annie told her husband, well, Bishop is crazy and God is crazy, so we're going to go tomorrow and try. And she came running to the church. We are approved! We are approved! We're approved! Now, you know that's a miracle. You tried 3 months before and try again, and they're going to actually tell you you're approved. That's a miracle. So we need to be able to work in those. Even if you're single. If you're single, hey, work at it. You're paying $400, $500 a month. Get a house. You can pay $400, $500 a month on your house. Get a house. But what if I get married and you work with that when you get there? Right now, you're not there. So get something that's your own. So when you go out, I remember when we first got our house, I went to every tree in our yard. You know, we got a big yard. And I looked on the tree and I said, you're my tree. I bought you. You now belong to me. I saw the squirrels running in my yard. Squirrel, you're in my yard, so you're mine too. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Little chipmunks, hey, you're my chipmunk too. Got some snakes. I don't want you. You're gonna have to vacate the property. Yeah. So we need to have a certain pride of home ownership. So if you're working on your house, hey, I'm all for you. Pastor Chris and I were discussing the list of honeydew yesterday. I got to fix this, and I got to fix this, and I got to fix. And I know Chris has home ownership. It's like, hey, we got to fix this. We got to get this together. Maybe in 100 years from now, I'll be finished with my list, but I'll be leaving it for my kids as their inheritance. And who knows how much my house will be worth in 40 and 50 years. So I'm investing into my kids by investing into my house. We're going to quickly change to infertility. I'm sure everybody here knows 7 married couples, right? Anybody here knows 7? Okay, you can think of 7 people you know. These are the numbers. 1 in 7 in the United States and the whole world is unable to have children. 1 in 7. 1 couple in 7. Now, that's a real bad number. When you have kids, it is a blessing. It is an utmost blessing. You can get, hey, I have kids. They have frustrated me beyond belief before. I mean, we have 2 special needs kids that is a day that's like, oh Lord God, why did you put them in our house? But we had someone to come to our house and sat right here in this couch and cried her eyes out. Because for the last 22 years, she's been trying to adopt a child. And here we are. We got 2 that we didn't want. And she said, I would take them in a heartbeat. And she boo-hooed cried. And that affected her so bad that it wasn't too long before she filed for divorce for her husband. Who knows, it was us getting the kids that kind of triggered this, and I hope not. But there are people who want kids really, really, really bad. So when you have a child, you have to be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful of those people around you. Be mindful, hey, I may be sitting right next to a single woman that wants to have kids and want to get married, and oh, I can't stand my child. He gets on my nerves. Oh, I wish I never had him. You got to be mindful. There are people that your mouth can really ruin their day. Especially if this is all they wanted since they were little girls and haven't been able to get it. So in the area of counseling, I'm sure you run into people who want to have children. What can you say to these people when they're looking around and they're seeing these little 12-year-old girls that are pregnant, or carrying a baby, not even holding the baby right? And we get to see that a lot. You get to see people who are blessed that you feel like, God, you're not right. Why would you bless them and not bless me? So how do you deal with those people who are at least to help them feel better about their inability to have children?
Well, when I worked at the Cerebral Palsy Center, I provided in-home care, and some of these parents, they didn't have the biological kids. They were adopted, and
wait, they adopted kids with cerebral palsy?
With special needs. Because cerebral palsy is just not, I didn't just work with kids who had cerebral palsy. It was, if they had speech issues, that sort of thing. And there was this one mom in particular. I guess, she just thought, okay, wow, I can really talk to Marquita about anything. And one day, we just had a tear fest. And when you're in the field of counseling, they tell you, put that poker face on. You can't show emotion, but I had to, because this was just such a real situation. And she was talking about some family members of hers, young kids, pregnant kids, having kids. And she was like, I'm blessed to have these adoptive kids, but why couldn't I have had, any of my own? And I just had to really just be there for her and say, well, they might not be your biological kids, but, they are your kids.
Right.
So just be blessed that, God did, put these kids in your life. But it just breaks their heart. She had a sense of unfairness, it's not fair, woe is me. Why can they easily go out and have kids and they don't take care of them the way I would do. So it was always that sense of unfairness that I sensed with her. But just talking with her about reassurance and just letting her know that things be okay, she kind of came out of that mode as far as, well, you know what, these might not be my kids, you know, scientifically or biologically, but, you know, they are my kids.
Okay.
So
It's a tough area to deal with. We are very blessed that our married couples have had children. We're very, very blessed for that. We haven't had to deal with someone being infertile, and I can tell you, we've had phone calls. I can't have any children. When is your husband going to be over here in Miami so he can pray for me? And in our ministry, we have been very blessed to pray for people who were infertile, and every single one of them got kids. You know, and it's the God thing. It's not a me thing, and we're grateful for that. But you can see the difference with a parent who's gotten a kid after years of trying, from a parent who I just tried a couple of months and got pregnant. And I mean, it's a night and day difference. It's never taking a moment for granted, you know, and this is a blessing. This child is a blessing. Now, in the Bible, having children is considered to be blessed. That's God's blessed you by having children. So, and if you didn't have children, you were cursed. But we have changed in our society because we look at children as being an expense. You know, I got to do this and I got to do the other and we've made children to be a community function instead of a family function. So, and I want to deal with that issue next of, if you are a parent, how far should your parenting go? Like, you go to your neighbor and expect your neighbor to help parent your child? Should you feel like you have too much on you because you have a child? So she just talked, so let me start with you, and then we'll go ahead and go with Marquita.
Well, I mean, it depends on the woman, because women are all brought up in different environments. I know that personally, my mom, she brought me up where, okay, you got married, that was your choice. So, you know, do the best you can with the marriage. You want children, you have children, you need to do everything you can to raise those children. Don't bring them to me. No, don't drop them off here. I'm not going to be babysitting for you. I'm not going to be buying their clothes. That's your child. You take care of that child. She always taught me that whatever you choose in life, you walk that path out, no matter what you got to do. Nothing illegal. But no matter what you got to do, you know, sweat blood, whatever you have to do, take care of those children. And that's how, you know, I grew up like that. So even in times where I felt things were unfair in my marriage, where I thought, oh man, I'm doing most of the stuff here. And, you know, even now it's like, it's 5 kids. We have to get a lot of them ready, and sometimes we have to go somewhere. And it's like, okay, you're trying to do all this stuff. I don't feel that way, because I'm thinking, okay, you know, I chose this. Right. I chose to have this child, so I cannot complain. I need to, like, close my mouth and be, like, if I'm going to complain to myself, go ahead. But to be complaining to other people saying, oh, this kid, it gets on my nerves, you know. And people have heard me complain about my special needs kids, but it's because it's a different situation. I shouldn't complain. It's not right. But it was a different situation. It was something that was given to me that I did not choose. But still, even up to now, it's like I'm trying to dwindle that down, not to complain about even that, because that's something that God put in our home that we have. But I believe that women as a whole, if they have a child, God bless them with a child, they should not complain about that child. That child is a blessing, and that child should be something that they're working at, they're studying, they're working at being a better parent every day.
Well, how should men respond to that? You know, you said this is how women should be, but let's say, you know, I'm a dad, they're my kids. Should I have the same attitude as well? Should I be like, okay, this is my responsibility, this is mine, I need to deal with this, I need to go as far as possible? And
I think this is my point of view, but I believe that the father should be the main disciplinarian, if it's possible. I know, Annie's kid, I know, Annie, you're better at that, but I don't think the father, I don't know, I feel like I could do it by myself. I need the father, yes, because the father puts in the balance that the family needs. But I need to try to carry it where if husband has to travel, husband has to work, like you say, your husband works, you have to do a lot of it yourself, don't you? So it's like, I can't expect my husband, if he has to work or he has to do a million things, he has to work in the yard, he has to provide for us, it's like I cannot expect the husband to do the same thing, to spend time, to do. Dads are important. Dads do need to read to their children. Dad needs to take their little girls on dates and need to, take them out and everything. But it's not an everyday thing. It's not something that it's an obligation that, okay, you come home from work, here are the kids, your turn. No, I chose this. I chose to have these kids. I need to be able to take care of these kids. You just come home from work. You need your space because you have to deal with mess from the outside. Your husband too. I mean, I don't know how you do it when he comes from work. Is it his turn to take care of the children? But
it's a smooth transition. Like you mentioned, I don't say, "Hey, your turn. Bye, I'm going to sleep." No, it's an even transition.
A transition. It has to transition. He has to come home and get over being at work.
Right.
So if he has to come home, I'm a man, so I can talk from a man's perspective. If I have to come home and I feel like my wife's going to jump on my neck when I get home, I don't want to go home. So then you find men that don't go home. They'll go from work and go to the bar. They'll go from work and hang out with their friends. And why aren't you getting home? Because the ball and chains is going to be at the house waiting for me. So remember, we got to work on our marriage. So some things do feel unfair. And I saw Keisha when you said that I made this choice. I saw Keisha do some moves. So can you kind of throw something in there in that area? Because do you also feel that if you made the choice, then you got to deal with the choices you made?
I'm just going to say, with growing up, I seen how the extended family had to take care of the person's child. And my personal, I wouldn't want nobody else to feel like that. I wouldn't want nobody else to feel like I got to take care of someone else's child, even though they chose to have this child. So I would make it my priority to take care of my child. If I needed something, I figure out a way to do it, because you got to think of, I think of the aspect of what if they're not around, then what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So I try to
So you can get used to that.
Right.
Okay.
And another thing is that a lot of women, they need a break. A lot of women feel like, I need me time. And me time is okay. It's just that me time is not every week sometimes.
Right.
Me time is not every day. My me time has to be in the bathroom when everyone's sleeping. That's why I wake up so early. Because in the morning, nobody's bothering me. I can pray. I can take my time in that bathroom. No one's going to be knocking on the door saying, "Mommy, get out." No, it's my me time. But that's not interfering with anybody's schedule.
Right. Then
Some of us do want to go out and enjoy ourselves, watch a movie and see a play and stuff like that. That stuff has to be structured and scheduled, like you said.
Right.
It has to be a scheduled, structured thing. It can't be just, all right, well, let me go to my mom's house and just sit there and let my child just do whatever they want. I can't do that. That's disrespectful to my mom. That's disrespectful to my friends. If I just allow them to just, have to be the disciplinary of your child. It's like you have to be, the thing about being a parent is that you don't rest that much.
You don't.
You're on guard. You're like a police officer. You're like, your eyes are going this way, that way. You're looking behind. You're hearing. You can't be deaf. You can't be blind. You can't be mute. You gotta be constantly looking. It's a gift.
You got Annie all of a sudden it just bursts out laughing over there.
You can't rest, and it's like that's why it's like I get upset when I see parents just sit and just let the kid, because it's like, okay, I'm like this. Okay, where's Ariel? Where's Lizzie? Where's that? Where's this one? Where's the other one? What are you doing? Where are you doing? Why are you in that person's office? We were at a Zumba-thon last night. I had to keep up with 5 kids. I was constantly, okay, there's 5. There's 2 there. Where's the other 2? I'm teaching from way back there, and I'm like, my other 2. Where's the yellow shirt guy? Where's the, I forget their names. But it's okay. I know where they're at. It's my responsibility. I could. Those kids can be taken away from me in a hot second.
Right.
Me being neglectful in 1 second for not watching my kid, I could lose my kid forever. And that's something that I don't need. That's my kid. I brought this child into the world. I cannot take him out. God takes him out. Why am I gonna allow the enemy to take the kid from me? And parents can be responsible to take care of their children and make sure that things like this don't happen.
Right.
And there's people out there trying to look at your kids saying, I want that kid. Let me call DHR. I'm a person that I call DHR when I see a kid. that's being neglectful. I'm demanded to.
And you have to be, I mean, awareness is key. You have to be aware, I mean, not just your surroundings and environment you're in, but you have to be aware, of your child. You know how your child is. Is your child prone to just running out, and doing something? And by me being in that professional field, I am a mandatory reporter, and I have,
Yes.
Had to.
Pastors as well.
Yeah, I have had to call, DHR. I mean, it broke my heart, but I had to do, what's right. And I was put in a position where, for instance, this child was just walking. I was going to come to do a session for the child. It happened a couple of years ago. This child was just wandering, around the streets. I'm like, oh, you're supposed to be at your house. I'm supposed to see you in like 15 minutes. So I called DHR first, and then I went, to the child's home. And DHR was there in about 15, 20 minutes. And they had to, I hate to say they had to take that child out the home because this child didn't have any shoes on or socks on, just walking around. Anybody could have picked that child up. That's why it's very important to be aware,
Right.
of your surroundings. Where is your child? Have a realization, how, what's your child like, because, a child can run and be gone like in a split second.
Yeah. We've had to call DHR before ourselves now. It's not DHR. You don't have to call DHR. All you got to do is dial 911.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be anything great. If for every phone call in the state of Alabama that has to do with child, they will investigate it. Every single phone call that has to do with a child. So you got certain people who are by law are responsible to call. So counselors, school teachers, professors, pastors, daycare workers, you're supposed to. So I want you to keep this in mind. I'm not trying to step on no one's toes. We got 2 kids because of one phone call. That was it, one phone call. So we got to keep active. Yesterday, Pastor Chris and I were working on the bus, and we had a little man. But he can tell you every 30 seconds, where is he? Where'd he go? Where is he at? Where? Because I'm a parent. I know it don't take a long time for a child to get in trouble.
Right.
It not at all. When he did the most dangerous stuff while Pastor Chris and I was crawled underneath the bus. So I couldn't chase after him. I was like, Chris, he's jumping on that board over there. Go get him. So you gotta actively stay behind. If you have a kid that is rambunctious, you need to be rambunctious too. You need to be active, vigilant, running here and there, and this is the reason why. I used to work for DHR. I went to someone's house to go and pick up their kids. It was a phone call for one child. They had 3. You know how many kids we took? All 3. There were 4, all 4. And one was a baby. And had to pry the baby out of a woman's hands. Out, we're taking them. But why? Your 6-year-old went to school with a broken nose, and no one can tell us how she broke her nose. So we are taking them. And we walked out of the house with all 4 kids. Now, what did the parent did wrong? She could have broken her nose in school. Could have broken her nose on the bus. Didn't have to be at home, but there was no clear reason. And the very next day, the school teacher called DHR and says, I want to adopt her. So there are people that want kids, and guess who's the one that called DHR? Yeah. It was that same teacher. So we got to be very cautious. Be vigilant. Keep up with the kids that you have. Do everything possible. Do everything possible to keep up with your kids. They are a commodity. There are people that actually will pay for your child. So it is very important. And if you notice, I love kids, but I don't show affection to every kid. I'm not like that. If I show affection to your kid, I want you to know you can put me on a limb. I really love your kid, because I don't do that to every kid. If you see I look at kids and Keep on going. You just keep going. But if I'm always picking up your child, you better believe it in my heart. That's my child. And you can break my heart really, really quick, because I love them like I love my own kids. So understand, this is very important. We live in if I can say it this way, the worst state as far as the children's rights is the state of Alabama. It is the one thing that Alabama will kill for is children. We are the ones that's the strictest of all 50 states. Alabama will take your child away for sneezing the wrong way. And I'm not kidding you. And when DHR knows you, like DHR knows my wife calls, is this Jenniffer Whyte? Yes, it is. We're sending someone right away. That's already God spoke, because Jenniffer said it. And I'm sure it's the same way in your area because of your field of study. There's certain people that they're not going to even do a preliminary investigation. They're just going to come and we're going to investigate while we know your kid is safe. So there are people who want the kids that you have, who will do everything for the kid that you have, who will not complain even if the kid is special needs, right?
Oh, that's right.
So family is hard. And I'm glad that this is the first time that we get to do a panel. It is not a piece of cake. It is not for everybody. Everybody should not get married. And yes, I said that. But I didn't give you permission to be sleeping around, though. Paul said it is good if you can be single. It's in the Bible. If you can be single, by all means, stay single. Don't get married. But if you feel like I really want to get married, I want to have kids, get married. And I believe there's a man for you, there's a woman for you. I believe it. But if you don't want to deal with the changing of diapers, don't get pregnant. Hey, I prayed for every time my wife got pregnant. We didn't do the contraceptives. I had enough faith. And I'm like, God, we're ready for a kid. And she got pregnant. That was Elijah. Then we prayed again. We're ready for kids. She got pregnant with Ariel. Then we did it again with Lizzie. God, we're ready for a kid. She got pregnant. Now, I'm not telling you to do that. That's not what I'm saying, because you don't have my faith. So, but we wanted all three of the kids that we got. We wanted them. It's like, these are my kids. But if you have been around us when Lizzie was little, and you said, I want to take Lizzie, we didn't just let anybody take Lizzie. We didn't let everybody take Ariel. We did not let everybody take Elijah. And we didn't just put them on you here. Go take them. You had to ask. And we had to have a discussion before you took them. Up to now, ask us to take our kids, and you'll see, Jenniffer and I will have a little talk. It's not automatic that, can we take them? Yeah, what do you think? Okay, you can take them. And up to now, it's still reluctant. Even if we trust you, it's still reluctant, because we will go pick up our kid in a hot second, because we are parents. And the responsibility of parenting those kids, those 5 that we have, are ours. They don't belong to anybody else. They don't belong to DHR. We're going to do everything we can, and DHR stay out of our face. But they are our kids. Please feel that way about your own kid. Please get to see, we like Bishop, we trust Bishop, but we're not just letting Bishop stay with our kid whenever he wants, because he got school. He might not be able to watch him. He has to practice. I had an audition yesterday. My goal has been practice. You got to keep all those things in mind. They have stuff to do. They cannot watch them the way they need to be watched. Don't you leave your kid somewhere where people can't watch them like how they're supposed to be watched. If your kid is rambunctious, the person that you have them watching need to have a rambunctious attitude. They need to be able to keep up with your kid. If you have a low, mellow child, they'll sit still. Hey, almost anybody can watch them. But always be proactive. Don't wait till something happened and all of a sudden now I have to change my life because something happened. Change your life before anything happens. A life is precious.
is here today and gone tomorrow. And I have been at baby's funeral. And I promised myself I never wanted to go to another one. And I don't want to go to another baby's funeral. I don't want to go to a little kid's funeral. I don't want to go to a teenager's funeral. Let me go to where they're old people. They lived their whole life and they died in their sleep. I want to go to that funeral. I want to celebrate their life. But I don't want to celebrate a life of someone who has barely lived. So I am very, very, very serious about this subject. Parenting is not for wimps. So in your own house, you may have to draw a new structure. You may have to look at your husband and say, listen, I'm really not good at this area. I need to chip in and do it in this area. Can you work more on this area, please? It's in you. It's part of your gift. If you got areas in your life that you need to restructure, and let me tell you, you may do something now and it might change in a year from now. It might change that your mate has to take over. And my wife and I are always restructuring. Always. She's a full-time student now. She's doing Zumba stuff. Hey, she don't have time to be cooking. And I don't sit there, well, I'm cooking every day now. You just all busy always, and now I'm stuck in the kitchen. No, it's like, honey, hey, you're busy. Come on, I'll cook. You need to eat. You know, so you're doing all this work, and it's physical, and you need to eat a healthy meal. You can't eat junk. I'll cook. And in the inside, she said, that's not fair for my husband. He has to do. And I'm like, listen, I got to do what I got to do. Don't fool with me. I got to do this. All right, if I got to cook, I got to cook. So there's restructuring that has to happen in your house. And it's often is whatever, I got a new load on me, help me. The wife's job, it is to be the man's helpmeet. That's what the Bible says. So, women, I'm sorry to put you in such a light. Your job is to help the man you're with. The man's job is not to help you. Okay, I know I messed you up just now. If you want your family to work right, that's how God made it. You're his helper. Well, I got to work a job because I got to help pay the bill. You helping your husband? Yeah, well, you're doing your task. You're the help that will meet his need. You want a happy life? Hey, make your man happy. Your man will turn around and make you happy. And that's a happy marriage. My wife makes me happy. You don't have to worry about me buying her stuff. Because that guy, I'm going to buy her stuff. My wife never has to come, well, honey, she just recently got her ring fixed. $350 to fix a ring. I didn't want to spend that $350. How you going to fix a ring for $350? Fix it. I mean, not buy a new one. Fix the old one, $300. Honey, it's only going to cost. That adjective didn't help me at all. And it's only. But then it's like, okay, but she does everything. She does this, and she does the other, and she does that. Okay, honey, call them and tell them it's okay. They can fix it. You find it's true in your marriage the same way?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You give, and then he gives?
I do.
Well, what about if you stop giving?
He won't give as much. He'll stop giving too.
Yeah.
See, so it reciprocates. So we have two single ladies in our group here today. And I know one, she's going to get married soon. Not you, Keisha. You're going to marry when you want to. That man's waiting for you to decide. So, but Erica was going to be, I'm praying about it. I'm praying that she'll get married soon. And I'm praying, I don't want her to marry no joker. Someone is going to mess her up. And, you know, someone that can propel her forward, you know, instead of pulling her backwards. But I already know there's certain things that she got down pack, and I'm so blessed to have people to, she's going to be good at this, she's going to be good at the other, she's going to take care of that man, she's going to, you know, and it's going to be a blessing when it happens. But for those that got married and still have stuff to work on, don't sit there, oh, it's so unfair. No, come on. You know, and say, hey, get some intestinal fortitude and work at it. Don't get depressed. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get dismayed. Work at it. My wife and I have done some things that we could have had our kids taken away. We've done some mistakes. We had newborn Lizzie in the car in the hot sun with the windows closed because we forgot her. And boy, thank God she didn't die. So we've done our share of mistakes. So I'm not sitting here telling you, okay, that you need to work on that shit. We've done it. But from that day on, we never done that again. Where's Lizzie? Where's Lizzie? Because we left her in the car one time. We can't do that. Where's Lizzie? I got her. She's right here. Oh, okay, good. She's now 6 years old, and we still, where's Lizzie? Where's Lizzie? Where's Lizzie? Where's Lizzie? Because we left her, and it's still in our mind. We messed up once, and no one saw it, but we knew we messed up. And it wasn't that DHR can take her away. No, she could have died in that hot car. There are many kids that have died in a hot car. So that was more important to us than the kid being taken away. So there are things in you that you need to work on. If you're married, and like Annie's husband is not here, he didn't get to hear this message. She doesn't get to go home and preach to him. You got to work on this and this and this and that. It's not that. It's gradual. Work on things gradually. Some of your tasks will fall into place. It will just be like you're just threw a whole bunch of balls on the pool table and some hit their corners. Some, you got to chisel them out. They're in there, but it's going to take effort to get them out. I've always preached to do not blame the people that have been in your life before. It's not your mama's fault. It's not your daddy's fault. I know this is anti-counseling.
Oh, you're good.
Don't sit there and blame other folks when you're grown. It's like, hey, now it's my turn. Now it's my turn to work on this. Now it's my turn to raise our kids. My kids are not like my family's kids. My kids are like us. This is how we plan to raise our kids. You get around my siblings, you'll see my kids are nothing like my siblings' kids. You can pick my kids out if you didn't know. That one belongs to them, that one and that one. And here's the odd thing. You can now pick our two special needs out too. Yeah, that's his kids. They're not there yet, but they're getting close. This is important to my heart. Now, we're going to probably try doing the panel at least once every 3 months. I find that people pay more attention when it's in panel form. I guess because there's different speakers speaking. So I wanted the things that are said not to just go in one ear and come back out the next. I want us to ponder. The reason why we do church is not to come and hear just a message. It's to be able to hear, learn, and change.
I want to say something else about tying everything together also is our influences that we have in our lives, our friends and the people we hang out with. Sometimes our mothers, our very own mothers, are not a good influence on us. I know my mother is not in some ways, not in every way, but sometimes we ask for advice in the wrong places. We ask for advice thinking subconsciously thinking they're gonna be on my side, so I'm gonna ask her because she's gonna be on my side. You need to go ask advice for those people who are gonna tell you the truth about yourself, that they love you, that you have a relationship with, the people who are just gonna be straightforward and tell you where to go and what to do. It's just, I've seen so many people just make mistakes because they're just asking the wrong people.
Sometimes it's not even a matter of asking. Some of us want to be validated. We want to feel like we're important. So we get around people that make us feel important. Understand it is a natural need. We need to feel loved. So validation is part of being loved. But there are issues that are beyond validation. And I've watched how you've come and you've never asked my opinion. And I want you to know this. Marquita has never come here and said, I need to talk to you about this and this and this. And she's never done that. But we'll sit down and have a conversation and it's like, man, that was just what I needed. And you talked about exactly the things that I needed to hear. And now I changed my mind.
Right. And I like to share something if you don't mind. And how I was kind of being discreet, when I was asked, I was really asking for your opinion, but I just kind of brought it up in a more casual way. And this particular topic was about my husband and I working on number 2. I just had that fear that my same pregnancy would go like it went with Sky, because he didn't. I mean, they had to resuscitate him 3 times, and I just had that fear in that compartment in the back of my mind. I can't get pregnant again because, it's going to go that same way. I mean, I just had that negativity. I just associate that with my son. And I just want to let you know, I'm trying to get teary-eyed, that, that you helped me out a whole lot. And I went to my husband and I just regurgitated what you mentioned to me. And I'm excited to say we are working on number 2. I put all that in the back of my mind.
Man, praise God. Praise God. Praise God.
And
God.
we actually find out next week if we're pregnant
Oh,
or
praise
not. So
God.
we'll see.
Yes.
But they think, people think, oh, she's a counselor. She has together. I can't counsel myself.
Right.
It takes. I can't. Okay, Marquita, what do you think about that? It helps for me. I need a facilitator as well as I'm a facilitator to others, and I just want to thank you. I mean, when I talked to you, there was just this weight just lifted off my shoulder, and I was all excited and giddy. And my husband, what's wrong with you? And I told him, I think we're ready. And he jumped up for joy on me.
Oh, all right.
So we are. I mean, like I said, we find out if we're pregnant next week, and if we're not, I mean,
it'll happen.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
We'll see. But I just want to personally thank you for that. Because I had a breakthrough moment that day. I was fixing her hair and having my breakthrough moment.
Well, praise God. Praise God.
I needed that therapy,
And see, I'm not a counselor, even though I counsel, and I don't know all the rules for counseling, but I do know what I hear God say, and it is very important. You can get the wrong counsel and it poison you, and it will suck the life out of you, and it will take away everything that you worked on just for one wrong counsel. That's what they said, and I'll have people tell me what the counselor said. People who counsel them. Well, you're not a real pastor because, you didn't go to college for being a pastor. And say Jesus didn't go to college for being a pastor either. Neither did Peter. Hey, I can go through the whole Bible. Said, but this I know. I know more Bible than most people who've gone to college for being a pastor. And I've been to where I have to counsel pastors that have gone to college to be pastors. So you can't tell me what my gift is, because I know what my gift is. I know that God called me for this. I know that I've been set aside for this. I know that I can preach a message, and I hadn't opened my Bible all week and just, okay, here we go. We're going to go to this. And I know it's a gift from God. So, we can get around people that they'll say the wrong thing, and all of a sudden, well, I'm not listening to him because he didn't go to college to be a pastor. You don't know what he's talking about. So watch who you're listening to. Said, please don't go sharing all your stuff to everybody. And if you're married, do not tell your mom stuff about your husband that's negative. Do not tell your mom stuff about your wife that's negative. Come on now. Don't you do it, because all they're going to do is be on your side and they're going to butcher your mate. And I kid you not, they'll tear them up to bits, and then next thing you know, you're unhappy with your marriage. Because no one likes your husband, but you started it. So be very cautious. My wife has never said one negative thing about me to her parents. 16 years being married, she's never once said one thing negative to her parents about me. How did she manage to do that? So marriage takes effort. Put it together. Do not, please don't. Marquita does not go and ask everybody for advice. How do I know this? Because if she did, she'll be all messed up. It's the truth. Sometimes Pastor Chris and I, we need to go somewhere. We need to go and we need to go somewhere. And he'll hear me vent the whole way. Because I'll be so mad, and it's like, I'm just, But the moment Chris says something, I'm not venting for you to say anything. I'm venting to vent. I don't need you to tell me something. I just need to get it out. I'm not asking for counsel. I just need to let the steam out. Be my ears. Don't you repeat what I said. But that's how I am. So where do I get my counsel from? I ask God. I have no one to give me counsel because I'm in a strange predicament. I'm supposed to be able to hear from God. So what do? God, I need to hear. What do I do with this? What do I do? And let me tell you, my whole life, I've never asked anyone for counsel. But I pay attention to people, what people do. Okay, that's what she's doing. Oh, that's smart. Okay, thank you, Lord God, for answering. You noticed? I watched for an answer. I was diligently looking for one. So if you ever feel like I can't share with Bishop about this, you don't have to. You don't. Hey, call Marquita. There are other people in the area that are counselors they're God-inspired things that they're going to say. Go to those people. Stop going to the people that have been giving you all bad advice all your life. Stop doing that because you're going to stay stuck. Go to people who are going to give you good solutions. We worked with Keisha for a while. Boy, and Keisha will say something. And what do you think? And that was Keisha's way of asking for advice. What do you think? You know what I noticed about Keisha? There was nothing that Jenniffer said that Keisha didn't end up doing. There was nothing that her mom said that Keisha didn't end up doing. It's like, hey, I'm going to surround myself with people who can give good advice. You having a rough time? Hey, get people that can give good advice. And you know them by their fruit. That's what the Bible says. You'll know a tree by its fruit. If you have a parent that has all messed up grown kids, why are you going to that person for parental advice? Come on now, isn't this common sense? But if you have a parent that has all good kids, can you help me? I'm having an issue with my child. So look at the fruit. The Bible does not tell you not to judge. That's an untruth statement. It says, judge not, so you'll be not judged. The same measure you use to judge, that shall be used to judge you. In other words, what you are judging is how you're going to be judged. So it's not telling you not to judge. Because we go around the place where I'm a Christian, so I'm blind. I can't see anything because, I'm not supposed to judge you. No, I'm supposed to judge. You're an orange tree. What you sitting here trying to tell me you're a banana? I know what an orange looks like. You're an orange. You're not no banana. Oh, how dare you judge me? I didn't judge you. I'm seeing what I see. You're an orange. You smell like you're an orange. The leaves are like orange. You got thorns on the bushes. You got that little citrusy stuff when you cut into you. You have cells inside the fruit that burst with juice. That's far from a banana. You're hard to peel. Banana's easy to peel. Simple things. So please make judgment beforehand. This is for our listeners that are listening over the internet. We're surrounded with people with opinions. The world is full of them. We're full of opinions. But most opinions do not matter. The one that knows you is God. The one that made you like how you are is God. Get around people who can get a glimpse from God. You don't even have to be a Christian to get that, because the gifts of God are not unto repentance. You got people who can glimpse from God and are not Christian. So get good counsel. If it sounds fishy, it probably is. If you give me $1,000, I'll fix all your problems. Sounds fishy. Probably is. Marriage is important for God. Your children is important for God. That it was the first rule God gave Adam. Be fruitful and multiply. This rule was given before thou shalt not eat from that tree. Come on now. That's important to God. So we need to keep that important to us. For those that are not married yet, if you want to get married, I'll believe with you. But no, I'm not going to look at you like, okay, oh, poor person, you're going through all this. No, you want to get married, you're married. Now suck it up. Just deal with it because you wanted to get married. It was your own personal choice. So, and we got some grown folks that didn't know. Yeah, I'm going to get married and my husband going to act a fool or my wife going to act a fool. It's normal. And you just deal with what you got. So I want to thank our panel for coming in this morning and sharing with us. I hope that this has been good for all of us, that we all can take something home to get better at what we do. You're not going to get any brownie points for it, not from other people. The most you can do is what the Bible says. My children will grow up and stand at the gates and call me blessed. Thank you.